Now it's time.
No,
It's our last call.
I know, but we're not on,
To say goodbye.
on the Disney Channel. We're not saying goodbye. We're just doing our last group
I
coaching
guess
call.
we're just getting going, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
there's still one more call. Guys, welcome to the final coaching call of the Build My Money Machine program. And good.
It's been great. And we also have something to tell you. Should we tell them what happened last night?
Yes.
Okay, so it's actually Friday morning. And we did our live call last night. We finished the call and realized we did not hit the record button. So, so sorry. We had a great call, but we're going to hop on here and just talk about all the things we talked
I was
about last night.
mad for 5 seconds, ranting and raving the 5-second rule, and then I felt great. Actually, it didn't really affect me that much, but it was kind of like, no.
No.
But that's part of business, right?
Part of
Like
business.
things are going to happen all the time. We're literally just talking to our daughter. She's just starting a business, which is really awesome, which we'll probably get into a little bit. And she was a little frustrated because something wasn't going right with this website or something. You probably know more of
She
the
couldn't
details than
connect
I
her
do.
domain for free. She wanted to do that because she's 16 and trying to go on a budget. And she's like, I got to pay $30 a month. Like that's a lot for her. And
And it's so
so
funny
she's
seeing
frustrated.
her like work through that. And you and I are like, oh, it's just par for the course. It's just how it goes.
Well,
And
she was pumped. She got some Google reviews and
like
then
kicking butt,
she's
honestly.
getting sales and it's really exciting. So you have these highs where you're like, oh my gosh. And then you're like, I don't even have a domain. So
And that's
it's pretty
business. I
cool.
literally told her, I said, well, Britland, this is why like you're going to be rich, basically. I don't know if I said it
Mm-hmm.
like that, but this is why most people stop. Most people go back and go to the regular job because they're not willing or able to mentally work through the unknowns, work through those things. And we're going to talk about unknowns today as well. So, what we decided to do for today's call is kind of do a summary of a lot of the things that we've talked about. This is actually some notes I was writing the other day. Constantly, we're trying to think of, okay, we know that we can go out and start just about any business in any industry within 3 to 4 years, take that business to 7 figures, even if we know nothing about the industry at all going into it. We know that we can do this time and time again. Now, I'm not saying we can do this with 10 businesses at one time, but if we were to start today, give us any business, any industry, and not saying we're going to because we like our life and we like what we're doing in our university,
Not saying we want to.
but we could, meaning anybody can, right? You're looking at a guy who like doesn't even know his own address. And we've been here for like 6 months. I think I
Truth.
might be able to get it. If I guess right now, I could probably get it.
Try. What is
No,
it?
I don't want to
Oh, okay. You can't
see
tell people.
everybody. We might get stalked, Tara. Everyone's gonna come and want to hang out with
Oh,
us.
right.
But like anyway, I won't go on and on about how dumb I am, right? Like I literally titled this "The Idiot's Guide to um, Creating a 7-Figure Business" or something like that, right? So our goal is constantly how can we take this and simplify it for people. So a lot of it is stuff that we've talked about in the program, and then there's a couple other little things. But basically, there's 7 steps that I wrote down. So we're going to kind of go through some of that. We're going to within it answer some of the questions that we've gotten, and yeah, go from there. So
Go from there.
call or be done from there. But anyway, we're never done. You guys can always reach out to us. We're always here for you. This has been amazing. So step number 1, got to come up with your business idea or concept. So Tara, how do you come up with a business idea? We talked about this in module, what module was it? 3?
You scrolling to find.
Yeah. Module 3. Yep. Module 3.
And module 4, choose your 7-figure
Oh,
business
no,
idea.
module 4 is module 4. Yeah.
Mhm.
So how do you come up with a business idea?
I mean, you basically take your situation. How much money do you have? How much money do you need to make? What do you have? What assets do you have? What are you interested in? What are your skills? What knowledge do you have? What experience do you have? What are you interested in? What ideas do you have? It really is kind of personal to you of like, what have I got? What do I want to create? And what am I interested in? What's my personality? Am I more introverted, extroverted? What platforms am I pulled to? Do I like podcasting, social media? Do I like door knocking? Do I not like any of those, but I could do this one the most?
So,
So I said that one. I was like, I don't think everybody loves that one, but some do. And so really kind of taking into account what you've got, who you are, and what you're interested in.
one of the hardest things I think about business is decision, just making a decision. Like part of me just wants to reach through the screen and be like, do you have your idea? Okay, what's your idea now? Like literally 3 seconds. Tell me your idea. So we did that with with Berlin, I reach through the screen and grab her. That sounds
Sounds aggressive.
abusive. Um, but the other day she's like, okay, I want to start my business. Like, I'm gonna go listen to like a bunch more podcasts or get some ideas because that's what we've had her do in the past. I'm like, wait, hold on. I said, you've listened to podcasts, like like, okay, what kind of business do you want to do? She's like, okay, I know I want to do e-commerce. Okay, you want to do e-commerce. Is there anything that comes to your mind right now that you would want to buy and sell? Because I know if she just takes action and gets going, she's going to learn all the other things that she needs to know to be successful in her business. So I'm like, what comes to you right now? And she's like, oh, here's these flowers that I've been seeing, and I want to like make these flowers. Uh, they're not real flowers.
They're made from pipe cleaners and they're beautiful and they last
They're awesome.
forever. They're super cool. So
So I said, okay, go do that. Go. And she's like, really? I'm like, yes, go do that. And so it's, up and down. She's got things going on in her life. She works and all these different things. And she's making some progress, but then she didn't. But then all of a sudden, like she started making progress again. And that's kind of what we see in business a lot of times. There's probably been times where you started your business and then you like maybe didn't, but everything that you've done, like Terrell says, nothing is wasted. Everything you've done so far in your whole life, like is preparing you for this moment to take that next step in your business. So it's okay if you've like stopped a little bit and got going again. All the information you've learned, everything you've tried, anytime you've tried to sell something, anything you've learned about online, and anything at all, any knowledge you've gained is going to help you in your business. But the point is, she took action, she got going, and then like, was it last week? Like she finally was like, okay, like
yeah.
I've created some of these flowers. Like, what I didn't like sell them. It's like, okay, I'm gonna put them on Instagram.
Well, we went to an activity. It was a youth activity for our church, and they tried to show their things that they're into. So she brought this bouquet that she made with all these teenagers, and they were dying over these things. And I think that really gave her some confidence of like, oh, people love these. So she started her Instagram account. She posted them, and then from just those few posts, she got a sell, and now she has a few sales. So
Yeah, and so now what's happening? Like, I don't know if this will be the end all be all thing that she does, but she's now learning so much. Like, she's learning how to. She already kind of learned a little bit how to edit, but she's learning how to edit more, like make reels, make videos. She puts some stuff on Instagram. Now she's making a website. She's getting sales. She already set in like the last 24 hours. She set up like a Google page.
Google My Business.
Google. They changed
business
it.
profile. They changed
Google
it.
business profile. I was getting mixed up. She's doing all these things. She's learning all these things. She reached out to my brother who has an e-commerce business with my sister, Janelle Bay, anyway, and his wife and her husband. And she asked him questions. So he's like, do this, do this, do this. And she's taking action on that. It's amazing. It's amazing all the things she's learning just from taking that first little bit of action. And she has a lot more clarity now because she's decided what to do.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is we get so worked up in indecision because like, what if I don't choose the right thing? And that's like the biggest mistake you can make. In fact, that's one of the questions that somebody asked us was they were saying, tell me all the things I need to do so I don't make a mistake. And we said the biggest mistake you can make is not taking action, is not moving forward. Just move forward. And then the pieces will come together. When you are on a trip, let's say you're at, a theme park, Disneyland or whatever your jam might be. You're not really going to know which direction to go until you go a certain direction. Then you see what's around the corner. Oh, I want to go on this ride. I want to check this thing out. Or you can look at a map if you want, but the same idea. You got to move forward so you know where to go next. And most people want to know exactly where to go. They want to have it all mapped out. They want to have everything perfect, and they never go. Mm-hmm. They never go to their amusement park.
Yeah. You got to make that decision because she made decisions. She got clarity, but now she has new questions. Okay. I made this bouquet. It took me 3 hours. And for this particular one, she sells it for $30. So that's like $10 an hour. That's less than she's getting paid right now she has nannies a couple times a week and she works at a acai bowl place or a juicing place. And so she's like, well, what's the point of doing this? I could just do this over here. And so she's trying to figure out those new variables, but it really is true. Like a lot of times people think you need to know everything before you get started and you need to know what's going to happen. And you got to make sure you save yourself from anything bad that might happen. And the truth is you really don't know what you're doing until you really start stepping into the dark. Like we just picked up, well, I have been trying to learn how to ski and it's hard.
Kicking booty.
It's hard. It's kind of scary. I feel like every time I finish, I'm proud of myself that my legs aren't broken and I got down the mountain. But it's so funny because we go to these ski resorts and they have this big old map and it's got all these slopes that you can take because we've been going to some of these larger areas and I'm like, okay, I see this map, but I have no context. I have like no experience with it. I don't even know what this line to this line means. And but although I may have this perfect little map of exactly what the slopes look like and how to get from here to there, and they're literally going to be people telling me exactly what to do along the way, it's a little bit scary and still a little bit daunting because I haven't experienced it myself. And so I hop on this gondola, go up the mountain, and I ride down it the first time, and I'm like, oh, this is where this is at. This is what this looks like. This is how this feels. Okay. And then now I have experience. Then I can hop back on that gondola and go, I'm going to take this route over here. I'm going to make this decision here. It's like I couldn't even understand the map, even though the map was perfectly written for me because I don't have the experience and I haven't done what it takes to be like, oh, this is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. It's the same with the business. You're going to write your business plan, but you're going to take a lot of steps into the dark as to, well, what does it feel like to do this? How does it work? How does I even navigate this place? And the more you step into it, the map becomes more clear and you know what you need and how much energy to put here and how much money to put here and what you're getting back. And so it really is a step into the unknown every single day. Like, how does this work until you get the known variables and you get momentum and you can start making money from that. But being one of those people who could step into the dark is huge.
One of you reached out and you said, there are still so many unknowns, but I hear you guys modeling not getting tripped up by that and succeeding anyway. So I'm trying to catch the right level of planning. This was about writing your guys' one page, business plan. And I respond to him. I said, I love it. I said, you nailed it. All a business is a set of unknown outcomes that once you put the pieces together, it makes you rich for the rest of your life. Okay. So I'm going to say that again. All a business is, and I was telling this to our daughter, is a set of unknown outcomes that once you put those pieces of that puzzle together, once you figure out the known outcomes, it'll make you rich for the rest of your life. And I'm not joking. If the pieces were known, everyone would do it without hesitation. It's not easy, but so worth it. The more action you take, the more the unknowns will become more knowns until you have a good idea of the numbers, inputs, outcomes you are dealing with. And that's when you have like a legit business. We were saying when you know everything, if someone gives you everything, that's called a job. That's called school. That's what we're born and raised into. So that's what we want. We're like, I need the comfort. I need to know. Someone tell me, someone tell me, someone tell me. But the cool thing is if you're willing to go out and do the puzzle, if you're willing to go out and find the pieces and put those things together, you become rich. That's really what it is. As a business owner, you become incredibly wealthy and it's incredibly rewarding and fulfilling knowing that you did this. You like accomplished this with the help of a lot of people. But if someone's telling you exactly where to put the pieces, that's not fun anyway, right?
I mean,
There's no challenge.
I love the way you said it yesterday because Britlin was having all these questions with their business and she was looking at us like, you guys don't know the answers. Like, tell me what to do. And we were like, Justin said, and I love this. I was like, that's so profound.
Oh, what did I say? I want to hear it now.
He was like, Britlin, if we tell you everything to do, that is a job.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's so true. And there's nothing wrong with a job. A job is a wonderful thing. And there's so many good things you can do with the job. But if you're not seeking a job, you don't want a job, you've done the job thing and you're like, I want to be a business owner, then you need to shift this in your mind. When you are a business owner, you are taking something that has never even been created. You may have seen other people do very similar things. They have similar models, even the same exact products, but you doing it yourself, you've never done it. And so in a way, it's almost like you're pulling it out of thin air and you really are starting out with these unknown outcomes. That's what's different in a job. You show up to a job, the business owner has already put their time and energy into figuring out the variables that you need to do X, Y, and Z in order to bring in a certain amount of profit to make your money that you get paid. But as a business owner, you don't know any of that yet. You're listening to things, you're learning things, and you don't know, what do I put in so that I can get this out? So if you're willing to flop and say, I'm going to show up and I'm going to figure out the unknowns, I'm going to figure out the processes, I'm going to find that the product, that one sales strategy where I can actually get momentum. And I know that if I put this in, I make this much money and then I can repeat that. Then you have something very, very valuable. And that's sometimes a lot of difference between a job and a business owner is if a business owner can figure those things out, you can get paid very well because you are controlling a lot of times the variables and you're working with different things and systems that you can't control exactly, but you can really decide, what do I want to put in? What am I willing to do? Who am I willing to hire? How smart am I willing to get? What risks am I willing to get to take? And how do I get smarter and make my life really what it wants? And so what I want it to be. And so I love that. Just if you want to know exactly, if you want to be told exactly what to do and have no risk, you should probably go get a job.
Yeah.
And there still
And
is
be content with it. Be happy
be
with
content.
it.
That's a
Like,
great
what I'm
life.
gonna do is what I'm gonna do.
That's a great way to go. That's a great career. That's a great option. But if you want a career or a salary that's maybe less capped, but you're going to have to do some more work to figure it out. If you figure out the systems, then really the sky's the limit. But if you can position, hack your mind and say, oh, I'm on a different end here. It's not like school. They're not showing up and saying, do this as your homework. It's pretty much everywhere in life. They'll show you up, you'll show up and they'll tell you what to do, you know, at home when you're growing up with your parents, when, if you ever go to like church, if you're ever involved in a sport, they're going to tell you exactly what to do. If you have a job, they're going to tell you what to do. But for this time in your life, you're now going, I'm going to learn from other intelligent people, but I'm going to figure out these unknowns and make them known.
You're gonna make the
I'm going to
decision.
make decisions. And
Choices.
then those choices are going to give me information. And then I'm going to take that information and continue to get better and better and improve my life. So it's a different way of looking
And
at
there's
it.
not like a right or wrong thing.
Mhm.
That's the interesting part, right? Like
There's a million ways to do it.
there's a million ways you can do it. And it
Yep.
needs to be like even with our daughter, it's like, well, I mean, I can give you some ideas of what I would maybe do next, but this is your business
Mhm.
and your situation. And I don't know the nuance of this little thing right here, but this is the next step I would probably take, right? So all the pieces are out there, but you're the missing piece. It's funny, we're
Mhm.
reading a book right now called The Missing Piece, but like you need to fit that into you. It's like back to our Disneyland analogy. If we're going to Disneyland or Disney World or whatever, like there's tons of information online. Like we can learn a lot. But Sally Joe and all these different people are gonna say, do this, do this. So I need to think about, okay, what works for me in my situation, in my budget, in my timeline. This person might give me their exact agenda for 2 weeks, but that may not work for me exactly. What if I don't like this ride or that ride or this thing or that thing? But if I listen to enough people, get enough information, I can figure out, and the tools, like I can figure out, how can I fly there? How can I get here? How can I show up? And then when I show up, I can have an idea based on what I heard other people say of what I think I want to do. So I have my plan, then I got to adapt. It's like, oh, there's this line's long, or I don't think I want to do this thing anymore, or our friend was late, so we got to adjust, or they don't want to go on this ride. Like, you got to be ready to adapt and move and change things up. And then you show up and you could actually, you see it and you can move to the things that in the way that you want, right? So, but still, that's out there. Like all the pieces are out there. People will show you the way, they'll tell you what to do in their own way. Then you got to figure out what works for you. Another example that I mentioned last night was I used to be in this, we've been in a few different mastermind groups, coaching groups, different things, learned from different mentors. And every mentor, number one, has a different perspective, a different way they did it. So you can only take pieces from each person. You can't necessarily take your entire life and like, here you go. One of the mastermind groups that I joined was it was a real estate investing mastermind group, but also like my understanding, what I thought my understanding was that he would also teach me more about the education part of the business, which was what I was most interested in.
Like to start the education business.
Yeah. But that didn't go so well. And looking back, it's very obvious because he saw me as
Competition.
So going into the thing, I thought like it felt like he would do that. And there was like other people that were educators in the thing, but like it didn't go well. Right. So, but I still learned things from watching and seeing different educators in that space. So I was watching and looking, but then we joined another mastermind group that was just a general business, general marketing. And he didn't mind sharing any thoughts or ideas about how we could potentially do this business, but he didn't know the exact nuance of that business. So I had to get pieces from him that I wasn't seeing here, and different podcasts and different people and different things I read online, but then also taking the action. And then once you take the action, like it's kind of like, this might sound egotistical, but it's like when you take action, you're in the action club. You know, in real estate, we call it the offer club. Like things change. You see differently. You feel, you stand a little taller. You're like, I did it. And like, I know something because I know it. Not just because I'm hearing it from someone else. I understand it in a different way. And I'm talking about this as if it's like one overarching action, but it's lots of little actions. And any business that we've started, it's always started out with a hypothesis. We think this is going to happen based on what we've seen other people do, what we think our situation is, this and this and this person. But then once you take the action, then you get the real information and like, oh, that didn't work as good. Let's adapt, pivot. And then until you get it to where it's like, okay, this is working pretty well here. Now we can improve this and improve this. So
Agreed.
um okay. So we're still on number one. I haven't even talked about number one a ton, but it's good. The whole
It's
point
just,
is to get some good discussions, answer some questions.
it's where we see people getting stuck is like,
Yes.
it's one thing to write it down on a piece of paper. It's another thing to go and do it. And the going and doing it is where people are like, how do I do? And it's like, you start from where you're at and you start in that business plan and you really follow those KPIs. And so that's why we're talking about decisions. Decisions are really important. And you don't have to be perfect at decisions. Like Justin doesn't actually like to make a lot of decisions. He told me that a few weeks ago and I was like, wait, what? Like we're buying like 100 houses a year. Like that's what we were doing. I would say you're good at decisions. And then I remembered the thousands of times we've gone out to a restaurant and he's like, what do you get? You decide.
Yeah.
Or all these things in the day-to-day living that he's like, you decide, you figure that out. And I was like, that's a really good point. So he saves a lot of his decision making for these strategies and these things that he's using because that's where he values that. And so your decision making doesn't have to be perfect. It's just, can you make the right decisions and move forward?
But also there's a lot of decisions like I don't need to make or want, like when we paint houses, I'm like, well, like talking to the contractor, what would you do? You know, it's like, okay, okay, go. And then I can tell if we can tell if it looks good or not, like stuff like that. But like, yeah, I don't know. So okay, so back to like picking a business idea or concept, something that I've been thinking a lot about lately is number one, there's a million different ideas you can come up with, right? But something that I think everyone can do is like a home service type business. Now, if you already have your business idea, like we're not saying go and start something different. This is just to get your idea mind going, right? And this works for coming up with how to market. So you just got to think of all these different ideas. Like Tara, what are all the different home services? Our son just started selling pest control, termites specifically. So even within the pest control niche in home services, how many different businesses are there?
I mean, he's even just niching in the termites that are in kind of more like wet tropical areas like California, Florida, these specific termites that are only showing up here that only they know how to service. And so there's so many niches within a niche.
Yeah. So but within pest control, you could do termites, you could do rodents, you could do like spiders or I don't know all of the, but there's a lot of pests, right?
Yep.
And then other home services, you have gardening, you have power washing, you have
Plumbing,
electrical,
appliances,
HVAC,
construction. I mean, there's
any kind of construction,
things.
but so you got construction, but that breaks down into
so many
painting, roofing, drywall, framing, foundational work, concrete,
design.
Yes, home design. Yeah, I love it. You got like people like realtors and people buying and selling houses. You have and now I'm getting in like real estate. You have insurance and you have inspection. And you got like it goes on like cabinet. We've had people on the podcast to do cabinetry. We had someone who came on plumbing and they said there's literally like 10 different businesses you can start or more within just the plumbing niche alone. Right? You have flooring, tile, carpet cleaning of all the things. You have mold remediation. You have flood stuff, right? All these companies do all these things. Like it goes on and on and on and on and on, right? And we didn't even get into like too much of the outside tree trimming. We can go forever, right? Now I'm giving this example because these are skills that anyone can learn. Like our son learned about he knew he was going to do pest control. He knew he was going to do termites. So he had to take a class and literally, yeah, he failed this test the first time because he didn't study enough. But this is something that if you really focused on, you could learn in like 1 week or less, probably. He took the test and now he's been learning on the job, which is the best way to learn. So he's learning how to sell. He's learning more about the job that he's doing. And this week alone, yesterday he made like his first sell on his own. The guy he was with made a sell as well. He was saying if he was on his own yesterday, he would have made a couple $1,000s in one day. Now, I don't think that's normal, but just to know your 19-year-old son
Mm-hmm.
who struggled even getting him to work not
Mm-hmm.
that long ago has the ability to go out and now the drive, like he's had this like switch in him. So the confidence.
The power of decisions. I mean, honestly, we always wondered because he's always been such a good person and a kind-hearted person, and he'll push himself in his hobbies. Like he'll do these crazy backflips and all these things that are terrifying to me. And so he pushes himself in these ways, but always with work and business and school, it was just like no interest. He didn't have that switch to like move things, to go, to just like hustle it. And it's so cool to watch him go into this and find something. And termites work really well for him because he actually really loves plants. He loves to learn about the earth. He's very fascinated by how things work. And so he has all this knowledge of these plants, which is what he's looking at, and wood and termites and bugs. And so he's taking that ability that he has to really learn about something and turn it into something that can provide for a family. He can have a career in this. And it's so cool because he said last week, it's like, I feel like I finally like have a purpose. And so he made a decision, he's doing it, and it's hitting every aspect of his life. Like he's working out more than he has. He's improved his eating.
He's just around good people that are
He's
like
around
a
sharp
team that's
people
motivating
who
him.
are these young guys that are making these goals and doing these cool things. His appearance is improving. It's almost like this different version of him. We're just like, whoa, like he does have that switch to get out there and just make something happen. And that's just the power of making decisions each day. Like, how can I get this thing I want to get? And then you have this purpose and this drive and this ability to take care of yourself and your family.
But what's cool is after a few months, if he wanted to, I mean, probably it'd take him more like a year or two. Like
A few years,
he's
yeah.
not in a rush, but he could go out and start his own termite company. He's like, okay, I want to do this on my own now. And now he's learned the skills of work ethic. He's learned the skills of selling. Knowledge is a skill. He's learned the skill of knowledge of this specific thing. And now he just has to learn a few other skills. If he throws in one more like leverage point of learning how to do like Facebook ads, or he hires a couple guys to help him knock doors, he can literally take his, because I think he can make $100,000 or $200,000 just working with this company, right? But now if he has that ability, if he can make $100,000 from like 5, 10 people, he can have literally a multi-million-dollar business in a few years if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're talking about, right? It's the 3D. I was talking this week with Tara about the 3Ds of
Triple D's of awesomeness.
triple D's of awesomeness. That was decision. We're talking about decision. You got to make a decision. Like I said, it'd be so much easier if I just told you what to do, but that's not empowerment, right? You have to decide on your own. So just got to make a decision, and multiple decisions all the time. Decision, and you got to do it. You got to take the action. If you don't do it, then you're not going to do it. You're not going to get anywhere. You got to take the action, the real action that counts. For Berlin, it was actually, okay, I'm going to put this out, I'm going to sell it. Usually the action we're talking about is selling the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the 3D is double down, which means like, how do I put in the point of leverage? How do I do more? Like I mentioned for Brogan, someday that might be, okay, now I'm going to go off and do this on my own. Okay, I'm going to hire someone to do it with me. Leverage, learn how marketing, something. What are you going to do to double down to get to that next level? Never stay stagnant. Most people never decide. If they do decide, they um, and they get going in the business. A lot of times they'll get stagnant. Like you don't want to stay stagnant. You don't want to just, okay, my job, all I do is dig ditches all day. I have a ditch digging business. You're just going to get paid for digging ditches.
Mm-hmm.
You got to figure out what leverage point I put into this to help me make more.
Mm-hmm. Another thing we recommend too, we talked about this last night, but when you make a decision, a lot of times when we start out our day, if there is a decision that your company needs to make or that keeps people moving, make that one first. So let's say I'm working with a contractor and they're editing a YouTube video for me and they're just waiting for a couple of things from me, like some feedback. We'll wake up in the morning and go, okay, I'm going to give them information because then now they can work on that for the next 5 hours. And then this person needs a decision. I'm going to give them that and give them that. So sometimes in a business, not sometimes, every single day, you're prioritizing what is the most important, what do I have energy for at the beginning of the day? And also, how do I keep people moving and not keep people waiting? What decisions are like making a traffic jam in my business? And so learning how to prioritize decisions, make decisions, and then take those decisions and keep track of them. What did it do? How is it working? Keep your numbers, and then what works, and put more energy and time behind that.
There, I don't know if I ever talked to you about this, but I've thought about it. So let's see if you're ready for this.
Oh,
A lot of people say don't check email first thing in the morning. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it just depends on your business. Like, do you need to communicate with people and let keep them going? Like, I check my email because I want to make sure all our people are doing what
It's,
they need to do.
you made me think of it based on what
So,
you said. I love email. I love checking email. I
yeah,
don't think that's true at all unless
it's a
it's a distraction
distraction,
to
an
you.
avoidance technique.
Or like, so for example, if you're a creator and your number one thing is I got to make a blog post or or whatever, a podcast, a YouTube video or something like that, and you're the person doing it and you're checking email and you're reading about all these random, like, not even that's like totally random, might even be important, but it's not the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it's off. Once you get to a place where you have contractors and people working with you, like Tara said, like our goal is to get them back to on track, stay on track as quickly as possible. And over time, you can hire assistants and general managers and managers to help with that as well. But once we get them working, then it's like it's such a good feeling to know people are out working
Mm-hmm.
for you to help you and your business, to help you and your goals. And it's helping them and their goals as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're all
It's a
nothing's
win-win.
wasted. If you can get paid to learn and grow, that's an amazing thing. Like we're super grateful that that's what like our kids are able to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but still, like everyone's here because they want to grow a business, right? We're not just talking about
Yep.
working for other people. So
And sometimes people do take a job for a bit because it takes a little time to learn their skill. Like, let's say I want to be a plumber and I know someone who's a amazing plumber. I go work for them for
oh,
a year. Like, what do
no
they
brainer,
do? What does it look like? And you go learn your trade. That's brilliant. There's
no
nothing wrong with
brainer.
that. I would say that's
Electrician,
really, really smart. It's like getting paid to go to college essentially. And that's what Brogan's doing. Sometimes they just started this out and then they're like, oh, we need money for this and this. And I'm like, this is such an amazing opportunity. You're getting paid to learn. And so learning your trade or how things work, working with someone who's doing well at it can be a smart way to start out too.
with that said, know your situation. Like, could you imagine me going out and being a plumber or a painter or like, no, but we've
No.
done construction, we've flipped houses, but we didn't even look at the houses, right? So
Mm-hmm.
know your personality, know your situation. We've interviewed people who have started house cleaning businesses that don't clean houses. Like you don't have to clean a house to know how to clean a house or to, you know what I mean? Or to find people who know how to clean houses. It's more of an organizational thing. The way you're going to make the most money is by driving demand,
Mm-hmm.
creating, like learning how to market, understand how to market, understanding sales, um, being willing to do sales. It's not so much just an understanding; it's like a being willing
Mm-hmm.
to do those things. If you can do that, and then you get other people to do all the labor, that's how you grow and scale a business. And then eventually, you now know how to sell. You can bring other people to help with that too, and other systems and processes. But that's where the money is really.
Yep.
So, um, okay. So really quickly, other businesses you can start. Like I love anything marketing. Like if you either have a skill in marketing or take a couple months and just dive in a month, dive into Facebook ads, learn everything you can, or go work for a marketing company, right? Once you have that skill, like that is a very in-demand skill that people will pay lots of money for. Sales, marketing, what other skills are like really high-paying skills? Like it's cool to know how to be able to dig a ditch, but you're only going to get paid what people get paid to dig a ditch. It's cool to know the skill of cleaning. You're only going to get paid what people get paid for cleaning. The skill of certain knowledges, like even if it might be as silly as like termites or knowing how to do these certain things, um, but sales, marketing, even programming, even though there's like
Mm-hmm.
people are saying AI is going to take over, but I still think, okay, well, how do you use AI in programming, right? Like if you speak the language, if you know the thing,
Mm-hmm.
that's a higher paying skill. But yeah, these certain skills, there's higher paying. Like you got to know, just don't stay stagnant, right? Um, we're okay. Get me back on track here, or no, I'll get myself back on track. I got this. So marketing, other things, different business ideas, flipping ideas. I'm not talking about just flipping houses, but I listened to a podcast the other day of a girl. She's actually flipping and renting. So she started out buying and selling dresses. Like who would have thought? And now she rents them out. And she picks out dresses that are in style that people want, that are in high demand. And she'll rent these things out two or three times and it pays for itself. It's incredible. And she's making a killing doing that. There's so many different things that you can buy and sell and flip.
Mm-hmm.
Um, really cool. Rent out. e-commerce. We've talked a lot about that, SaaS. And with the SaaS product, like software as a service, you don't even have to create the software on your own. You can just white label someone else's and learn how to sell it, get your own clients. Um, awesome. Education. We've started a couple different education companies. Sometimes you can, in education, you can focus on coaching, you can focus on courses, you can focus on what different kinds of education, what kind of different thing. Oh, you could have a media company, which is kind of what Millionaire University, for the most part, right now we're doing this, the Build My Money Machine course, but most of what we've done is media, right? Like we're not even necessarily always the ones creating the content. As long as we have good content, people want to pay attention to that content, and then we can get paid by sponsors for that content. That's another kind of education business. One of you is
Dylan?
Dylan. We talked about Dylan a little more on the call last night. We'll keep it a little shorter today. Teaches people how to play guitar. Insane guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
That's Dylan Asina. You should check him out if you want to hear some mad guitar skills.
Yeah, go on YouTube. Dylan Asena, Asena. First name's Dylan. Super cool, very interesting. But he wants to basically do a company where he has online lessons, live sessions, and he has like a unique way of teaching the guitar. It's really cool.
Okay, so should we move on to step 2?
Yep.
We're not going to go into this one too much. We talked about it in the modules, but picking marketing or sales strategy. Should we just move on? I think we've already covered a lot
Yeah,
of this.
it's really the biggest thing. Like a lot of times people email us with a question and say, "This is my plan," and it's like, well, what platform are you going to use? Like, how are you going to sell it? How much does it take? How much does it cost to get your product out there? How much are people going to pay? And what's your net profit? And it takes some time. I feel like this is the part where people really have to go into the unknowns, make a lot of decisions to really figure out that sales process that is repeatable. This is where the trial and error comes. Like, am I trying to sell on YouTube? Am I doing YouTube ads? Am I doing a podcast? Am I knocking door to door? Do I have a storefront? Am I doing e-commerce? Like, what is your platform? How much does it cost you to sell your product? How much can you make from it? How do you increase that net profit? And then just repeat over and over and over. This is the part where people get scared. They do a lot of avoidant things. We do a lot of funny things in this space right here where they're like, oh, I'm trying to sell this thing. We're like, well, what did you do today? A lot of times people will say, oh, I want to do this thing. Like it's just not growing. It's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. And we'll say, well, what did you do today to sell your product? And they'll usually be like, well, I had to do this and this. And they're just bouncing around all of the things that really actually get that product out there where people are aware of it and they're buying it and you're figuring out your sales process. Like where, how, who do I sell it to? How much do I make? And how do I just do that over and over? And then increase those margins of making money and get people working with me and helping me. But how to get momentum in your sales process is huge. And the part where people fumble around or they struggle the most and they just are like, I'm doing so many things. It's like, you are not selling your product. It's kind of like, let's say I were to open a restaurant, and we're not saying you should, but if you open a restaurant and you're like, I'm making tacos every single day. All I do is make tacos every single day. And it's like, great. But how did you let anybody know you're making tacos? Like, what is your sales process? How are you getting that out there? How are you creating demand for your product? That right there is the space that a lot of people shy away from. And that's what can make you a lot of money, because a lot of people go into that space and they're like, it's a little bit uncomfortable, or I don't know what to do, or it feels personally risky. That right there is your best friend, because it is uncomfortable. But if you can do it, that's where people and business owners make money.
Changes your whole life.
Changes your
People
whole
will
life.
go to a job every day. Like, I don't like this job or this and that. And they go and do it and do it and do it. But once you figure that one thing that Tara's talking about out, there might be a few days, a few weeks, a few months of unknowns. Once you solve for those unknowns, that's your money machine. That makes you wealthy. Anything that you want in life. I mean, I'm not saying money makes you happy and you can't, but any like money thing, a lot of problems can't be solved with money, is solved. Think about that. Any trip you want to go on, so whenever you're like, oh, this is hard, like, yeah, figuring out the thing is a lot harder than doing the thing. Say that again. Figuring out the thing is a lot harder than doing the thing, because doing the thing is a job, right? So it's like if you're just doing the thing, but if you're doing the thing like you do in your job, but you're getting paid like the owner, that makes you rich,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's an awesome thing. Now our son's company that he works with, they've kind of got it figured out. Every day he gets 2 to 3 leads. Now I don't know exactly where they get the leads, but it's not rocket science, right? It's either Google or Facebook ads or something like that, or they think they do some like internal calling based on probably leads that they've had from the past. They set him up with 2 to 3 leads. He goes to those appointments. And then after those appointments, if depending on if he has time before his next appointment, he'll do what's clover knocking, knocks the doors to the side and across the street, essentially. And the reason for that is because with termites, it's like they're in like a general area. So it's like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
your neighbors have termites, you might have them too, right? You can do that with any kind of service, anything. Right? That's just an example. But the bottom line is they have their strategy figured out. So our son doesn't have to think about it, but it's still a job, but it's a good paying job. It's kind of like an entrepreneur, but we won't get into that right
Mm-hmm.
now.
It's a great job.
But that's their strategy. And so they have a bunch of people out doing that and it makes them wealthy, right? So, like, there's so many different ways you can do this, but just figure out what your personality is, what you like, see what other people are doing, do some research, keep failing forward, adapt, adjust, try things out, and you'll figure it out as you go. We've talked about with Millionaire University. At the beginning, we were trying everything and we wanted to, like, it was not fun. We wanted to quit. We've done this in every business we've done. We've tested out a ton of things. And at the beginning, it's like, this is not works.
Nothing's working. I'm working so hard. Nothing's happening.
Every business has taken us about, I'd say about 8 months till we started to get some traction. And then another 4-ish months, so about a year to get like pretty good traction.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then it starts to take off. Then you like, the money's just coming in. That's when it's fun. You're like, this is how it's working. But you gotta be willing to have that discomfort and figure it out and keep going.
And doesn't mean you have to be destitute. Like you don't have to quit your job and you don't have to be on the streets. Like if you have a job, you can do it while you have a job. If you have savings, you can have a certain amount of savings. Like you can be smart. Jess and I are more just like, let's just go all in everything. And it's just really kind of your personality. And so don't be freaking out or stressing. You're like, oh, I have
She
to
said
just
is
toss
all
it
in.
all to the wind. It's like,
So you said
be
all
smart.
in everything, but we don't like risk it all. Does
No.
that make sense? Like we've talked about this a lot of time. Like have your risk mitigation plan in place. You're not going to lose money that you don't spend, right? It doesn't cost anything to put your emotions at risk,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just the action that we're talking about, really. Um, okay, so once again, step number one: pick a business idea or concept. Hopefully, you already have it. If you don't, just pick one. Pick. Let's go. And you can go back and change it anytime. So you're not you're not held to this forever.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to learn a lot along the way. And then you're going to see other opportunity that you didn't even know existed. Might be within the same industry, might be a different angle, or you might totally change it up, but you're never held to that. Come up with your marketing or sales strategy. And there could be things within things within things of this, right? Or you might do one, you get really good at it, and then you add in another one, finish one course until success. That's what focus stands for. Step number 3, come up with your simple plan. What are you going to do? When are you going to do it by? And how much money are you going to make doing it? I'm going to make $20,000 a month within 12 months and washing cars. And then from there, like, so you got to create, why do you want to create a simple business plan, Tara? Put you on the spot again.
Because the brain will start solving the problem. You'll start going, okay, I have a plan, I have a direction, and you'll start moving towards it because you made a decision. Like if you just always stay in theory and philosophizing, it's just like spinning, fear, stress, anxiety. You make a decision and they start going and it feels good and you'll hit some discomfort along the way, but it's like you finally start to solve the problem.
You might hit the goal that you made, you might not. That's not really the point. The point is essentially you're solving for some unknowns. Some of the unknowns might be you don't even know what you're doing. If you don't even know what you're doing, you got to figure out what you're doing. How much you want to make, how are you going to do it? What are you going to do by when are you going to do it by? And then you start reverse engineering. Okay, I want to make $20,000 a month within a year. Well, first I got to figure out how to make $5,000 a month. So you start
Mm-hmm.
breaking it down. And I do this all the time. It's like, hey, then probably within 6 months, I want to figure out how to make $10,000. Within 3 months, I want to make 5,000. So within a month, I want to figure out how to make like a couple thousand a month. How am I going to make a couple $1,000s in the next 30 days doing this thing? Okay, if I want to sell cars, I should probably find people who have cars to wash. Okay, that's my next to do. How do I find people? They're everywhere.
How much do I get paid per car wash? Which means I need to do this many for
Yeah,
this. And I'm doing it myself. Okay, now how can I get more people so I can do it's like reverse engineer that thing.
you just keep solving it. It doesn't matter if you don't actually reach the goal. If you don't actually make most of the times, especially like when we first started, when we've planned, there's been many times I'm like, we're gonna make $1 million within this time. It's okay to have your goal like a little high because there's gonna be things that you don't know that are gonna come up. They just are. Um, we've talked about this a lot of times, but there's a well-known saying that says most people they overestimate what they can do in a year, underestimate what they can do in 5 to 10 years. And that's because of like, once you get the things going, like it just compounds, right? But most people think they can do more in a year. And so keep that in mind, right? Maybe you have a goal within a year to be making $20,000, $30,000. But you know what? If you get halfway there, don't be discouraged. Just now take everything that you've learned and be like, okay, I've learned a ton. Now, how do I like keep growing from here?
We give a lot of our fears and like worries and anxieties so much space, but we don't give the opportunities so much space. And we're so afraid of what we're going to lose, but we're like, there are opportunities everywhere. Take that, give that the space in your brain and go, I have an opportunity to make this a thing. We give so much, influence to what we're afraid of, what could possibly maybe happen. So learn, make decisions, move forward.